Hi and welcome. Hi and welcome back to another episode of Life on the Edge. I am Chad, today's host. Today I have with me Max Tisthammer and Jesse Severe. We are going to talk about all things XR in marketing, including how we implement augmented reality into print marketing materials. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Max, welcome.
Howdy, Chad.
Who are you? Who's Max? What are you doing?
Yeah,
here?
I'm Norwegian in descent, but I am a client success manager here at West Edge. And yeah, I work closely with our clients and make sure that their value is being felt and they're having a great time in their relationship and the engagement's going well. And we do dabble in some XR and augmented reality.
And you've got a full litter now, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I got a whole orphanage of clients. But they're great, and I take care of them, and they take care of me.
You talking about your kids, or
Yeah,
you talking
well,
about
I was talking
clients?
about your
No,
kids, but
Oh.
if your clients also are you have a whole litter
I do
now,
have a litter of clients, yeah, and kids. Yeah, everyone's doing well though. I think on both the client and kid side. Yeah,
So you spend a lot of time on the phone.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of time on it.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's every time I see you, you're talking to somebody either with your
It's
headphones
a
or
good way to do it,
on
rather
phone.
than waiting for an email to come back at you, or getting sent to a spam folder, things like that. Waste a week of your time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like being on the phone.
Mhm.
Cut to the chase.
Jesse, for those who may not have seen any of the previous episodes, who are you and what are you doing here?
I'm Jesse. It's basically
Long walks on the beach?
long walk. Yeah, client services director, but essentially we all do a lot of different things here. So, I guess I help out Max when we're talking client strategy and oversight on some of that stuff, but also a little of the media background and background in marketing, traditional marketing. So seeing the way that these XR materials can come together and deliver value for the clients has been really fun over the past almost 4 or 5 years now. We've been kind of getting into it, but just looking at the smattering of materials we got on the table, it's like, yep, remember that, remember that, remember that. Yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, I'm just happy to be here, but I also have some children
Yeah, small litter.
and some
Yeah.
and some clients and all that good stuff that we got to try to keep alive no matter what we do. So yeah, it's all about building good relationships and making friends along the way.
Yeah, there you go. And for those that don't know me, I'm Chad, chief instigator of West Edge. Also have been the kind of primary chief instigator of our augmented reality and XR and all of that over the past couple of years. For those that don't know, XR, extended reality, it's just the blanket umbrella term for virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. So when we talk XR, that's the kind of umbrella. But what we're going to focus on today is augmented reality, specifically in print marketing, and talk about our relationship over the past several years with the Army National Guard. We've worked with Wyoming, California, Utah. We've got several other states, providences upcoming,
Yeah,
and
excited for that.
really want to talk about what we've done with them, the different use cases that we've been able to provide, and how we've really been able to up the game for recruiters using augmented reality, right? So let's maybe start with Max. Max has come in about halfway through our relationship with the Army National Guard. You started with California,
Right.
which was actually our third client in augmented reality. So let's talk a little bit about California and kind of what we've been up to with them. So I'll kick it off, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about our trip out to California last year, what we did in LA and what we did in Sacramento.
Yeah, in late 2022, a handful of us went out to LA and Sacramento to produce some stuff for the California Army National Guard. It was really cool, actually. So we got to kind of play in I kind of look at it like a video game studio in a sense. We got to create 360 volumetric videos of a handful of California Army National Guard people. And we brought them into this massive studio in LA that had, I think it was 109 cameras right around there, and an entire green screen like arena. And we got to film them on these cameras and actually create these avatars, or I think we call them digital twins, or we do call them digital twins. And implement them in a kind of an application that we created for California Army National Guard, and really help engage with their audience. And recruiting's been a problem for, not just California, but across the country for these National Guards. And so we're really trying to engage those younger demos, kids that are 16 to 24 that have seen a million things before, but they're really involved with VR headsets and on their phones and playing with things and interacting with their phone. And so we were trying to come up with a unique, fun way for them to do that. And these volumetric videos really fit into that. So
Yeah, perfect. So let's maybe talk volumetric video,
yeah,
because that's probably a term a lot of our audience hasn't heard before. So volumetric video is really looking at. Touch the mic, pop, hiss. For those out there, pops and hisses. Volumetric video is really 3D video capture. So, like you said, it's got cameras all around you, and it's actually compiling all of this video from all of these different angles and creating really a 3D object of a video. And that's pretty high tech stuff, right? Because it's very different than creating a 3D model, to actually capture the voice and the materials on the clothes and the movements, and having that in a 3D space is pretty renowned. And technology's only been out there for the last 5-7 years. And so being able to take that and implement that into one of these guards so large, California, was pretty remarkable, huh?
yeah, it was awesome to see that. And it really reminds me of, like, I don't know if you've grown up playing Call of Duty or Madden or whatever it might be, like creating a character and you're able to see all these teeny little details in their face and in their clothes and the way they move. And then on top of it, it's actually a video, so it's recorded, audio too. Yeah, so the to see the people that we work with when we handed those off to them and how cool they thought they were, and when we were testing everything, how cool they are, putting them in our space and walking around this general who's been in the military for 30 years, and has like all this renowned success. It was really fun to work with them, and then we do 2D stuff as well, but it really blew the 2D side of things out of the water. But it's really about putting the tools in the recruiters' hands to try to engage and interact with these young people and give them like the tools to do that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think it's a great bullet in their gun in a sense.
And we'll share a little demo with
Mhm.
exactly what we've done with California. You can actually see how you can place this 3D volumetric video of the general, in your space, and have that general deliver you a message, and you can interact with that. We also did 2D video, on green screen, and we actually trained their organization to be able to capture all 170 of their recruiters in the state on green screen, to be able to also include and give us the ability to bring these recruiters into the room in 2D video on augmented reality.
So when you say bring them into the room,
Mhm.
it can be several different mechanisms that do that, right? To be
Right.
able to get into that experience, but it could be through a business card, through a postcard, to be able to get started, and then
Mhm.
essentially you could lay that down and see the message being delivered.
Right.
I think the difference between the 2D is as you move your camera around, your phone camera, that 2D representation is always facing you.
Right.
With the volumetric, you can literally get all the way behind and see that delivery. So it's almost getting into hologram tech territory,
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's
which
that's
is
really
super
what,
cool.
what we called it, is the holograms
Mm.
or digital twins. And the exact technology that we're using within augmented reality to do that, to place it in your room, is called world tracking technology or spatial tracking. That allows us to take an object, a 3D object, whether it's a 3D video or a 3D object, and place it in a room, and it's your phone or your camera is actually tracking the room and placing that in there. So the ability for world tracking, for you to place something, and think about the big box stores where you're going to check
Yeah.
out furniture in
I
your
was thinking
living room.
IKEA. Yeah.
So that's really the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
technology, world tracking. So the ability to bring that to the human experience and bring that to the guard, to be able to meet your recruiter, to be able to kind of get a bit of the personality before you show up at that recruiter's office, is pretty important.
Yeah. And from a marketing standpoint, you really, I mean, they're having these conversations anyway. at times. But this is really a kind of a takeaway or a leave behind that that individual can show their friends and really get into it, but also keep that message, with them. But then the really cool part on the backside, at least from my point of view, is the trackability that happens from that for them to be able to see the efficacy of their recruiters and how many of these cards they got in the hands of folks, and then how many of those leads have really been engaging with it from then on. It's that's kind of closing the full loop on the marketing side from the really impactful experience all the way to understanding how these marketing efforts work. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, the data is massive, and it's what I mean. It's big pushes what as to why they've come to us and why they keep spreading the word as well. Being able to track that engagement and really understand what they're getting in front of these young kids.
So prior to doing this cool volumetric video and the 2D video on green screen that automatically keys out the green screen and being able to do that, we really started with the military doing augmented reality print marketing. And so with Wyoming, California, Utah, we were able to integrate video, 2D video, as well as web UI into print materials. So a couple of the items that we have, I'll start with this one here. So the take charge of your lifestyle
Mhm.
poster. So this was a poster that we concepted here in Wyoming, and actually California replicated that, and it went to the malls and a lot of different places. But what it is in this print material, the user can open up. I'm going to go ahead and record my screen here so that we can share with the users at home. So just like anything else, got a QR code on it. We're going to go ahead and scan that QR code. And when that comes up, we'll go ahead and go to a splash screen, right? This splash screen is really just an indicator to give us the access to be able to utilize the phone, camera, access orientation, so on. But when we then point, look at that.
That's a little bit of a different experience.
Yeah, so this is image tracking, right? So we talked about world tracking. This is image tracking where you see the postcard. When we come back into it, it's actually putting video over it. So it's got this kind of magic and mystique to it that really allows a personalized message. But what's really cool is that second we scan that, what happened?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Data.
Tally.
The data on the
Data,
back end, it's
right?
like absolutely this QR code was scanned, so we know the piece of collateral. Now the way the system we've built out is we know which recruiter actually is behind that piece.
Right.
So now we're starting to connect the dots and say where really things are happening.
Right. And you can see that it had a UI associated with it, which allows us to go to different experiences. And so we did 5 different videos, one for lifestyle and benefits and education and the key messages that the recruiters are really trying to get across. So that there is more of a recruitment focus to the student end user to be able to let them know what the guard's all about. Whereas with California, it was about meeting your recruiter and getting that personal connection. But there's also the kind of marketing portion itself when we're talking business cards and postcards and flyers. These recruiters are at career fairs all day long across the state, and they're giving leave behinds. Well, really, for the first time ever, we're able to track that print experience, that collateral.
And everyone's given leave behinds.
Everyone's giving
Right. So which ones are valuable?
and which ones do you remember, right? So the recruiter, these business cards, they can go ahead and come in, and let's go ahead and scan one of these QR codes. And this is a business card where it's just got a little bit of information on the back and the front, but it's customized to the recruiter. So again, we've got our access screen where we're going to grant all of the access and give our blood type. When we actually show that, now we can play a video on there.
Yeah, and those assets can be provided by the client, or we can produce those as well. So this one, I believe, is one of their videos that we were able to
This
put
is
in the
a
system.
client provided content, but being able to text right out of here and SMS right too. Now we're tracking every engagement with clicks and leads and scans. So it's kind of the gift that keeps on giving with the print marketing, right? Because it gives us the ability to continue to track the efficacy, which is hard in print marketing.
Well, and these
Absolutely.
recruiters too. One thing I want to mention, going back to the data a little bit, is that they have, in the military, they're changing jobs every 6 months or every 18 months, whatever it might be. And our back end system is so easy to update now that if they do have like a recruiter that goes from their, I don't know, the recruiting platform that gets a different job, that business card doesn't have to be reprinted actually, because their name, well, this one's a different story, but their name's not necessarily on that business card. It's tied to their RSID. If we can say that, I think we can say that here. It's tied to their RSID. So the new recruiter that comes in gets that same RSID number. They just use the same business card.
Yeah, so you're not
we
throwing
update
away-
the information behind the scenes, their name.
You're not throwing away boxes of business
Yeah.
cards because that person's no longer with you.
Yeah,
You
this,
can actually
this
use
here
them.
was an evolution, the first evolution of the business cards that we did for Utah, and we actually printed the recruiters' names on it. But after the R&D of the first year and really understanding how this works, we really learned that turnover was a big issue.
Right.
So
Still,
we were able to, for California, go ahead and get them all. And our second set with Utah, we printed out all the RSIDs, 500 business cards or 1,000 business cards of each RSID. Well, when Joe leaves this, this post and goes to another, and Bill comes in, we can just attach
Got your business
Bill
cards,
to
Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Here you go.
Bill's business
Your
Here's your
number
box.
1216.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention too, that before I started at West Edge, I didn't know hardly anything about AR or anything like that. But on our portfolio on our website, I saw the posters, the Wyoming posters, and I was like, what the hell? I was like, this is awesome. Got me really excited about it and kind of the cool stuff we were doing here. So, one of the reasons I was really into trying to get a job here.
Yeah. So we've talked about both world tracking, where you can place an object in your room, walk around it, look. We've talked about image tracking, where we're tracking an image and we can have video and 3D and text and all that cool stuff come up over. The last one is face tracking. And really, when you think of face tracking in augmented reality, what do you think of?
Yep, like Snapchat filters, TikTok.
Snapchat. Yeah, absolutely.
Snapchat.
So thinking about augmenting all of this stuff over your face. So really what that is, it's all just camera technology. When you downplay it to just camera technology, right? But you have to have a camera, you have to have a camera strategy, and what your camera sees, then you can interact with it. And that's the technology that we're really building and working on. And we're pretty platform agnostic in the sense of we are a web AR shop, not necessarily a native iOS or Android shop. And that has big implications, because with all of our experiences, whether you're getting something in the mail and a postcard or handed to you at a trade show, you don't need to download that company's app. It's directly a website, right? And we're serving it often via the client's website or our website or a third party website. So everything being online just really gives us the flexibility to not have to be so tied into a certain piece of tech.
Yeah, I think that's huge. It removes, I mean, in marketing, we're always talking about how to reduce friction, right? Because the more hoops somebody has to jump through to get to conversion, the more difficult it is to actually close that, to get them to, a decision. So by not making them download an app, literally all you have to do is say, yep, it's okay to use my camera, and you're off to the races. You can actually experience this stuff, which I think is really, really beneficial to the user.
Right. And I think it keeps us pretty wide open for our clients. When we talk about, the Utah stuff, and they provided us with the assets, the content, the video content, that changes the whole budget aspect.
Yeah.
If they
Completely,
provide
yeah.
that to us.
Oh, yeah.
We're working with another organization out east, where we're going out east and we're going to be filming all of that on location for a couple days, the cost differential.
Quite a bit
So
different.
to know that we can work with the client's content or their campaigns and really light up or ignite what they're doing, pretty cool shit.
Very cool.
Yeah, it makes me think of our current engagement with California and where that might be heading, and the 360 videos they have on deck and what they might be able to hand off to us. Is I've been working closely with those guys, and like one of them was filming at the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl, but at the 49ers stadium like a couple months ago at a football game, hanging from helicopters, stuff like that. So yeah, that I'd rather have that content, I think, than just, hey, I just hold this pole and walk around, so it's pretty slick.
Well, cool. Today was primarily to talk about AR in marketing with the Army National Guard, California, Utah, Wyoming, hopefully a couple cool states coming up. We've got more here that we're going to talk about. We're going to bring some other staff in and talk about some additional items like Schlegel Manufacturing and Cheyenne Frontier Days and maybe Department of Workforce Services, kind of talk and show how we've implemented several things through AR, XR, and in the future, we'll start to talk about our VR stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Max, thank
Cool.
you for your time.
Thanks, Max.
Jesse,
You got it.
thank you for
All
your
right.
time.
Sounds
It's
good.
fun, guys.
So today we talked about XR and marketing with Max and Jesse. We talked specifically about how to implement AR into print marketing for the California, Wyoming, and Utah Army National Guard. Next time we're going to talk about the Cheyenne Frontier Days projects that we've been working on for the last couple of years that include 360 video and image tracking and some cool XR opportunities that we see ahead. Thank you for their life on edge.